This is Annapolis Week in Review on MarylandReporter.com. I'm Len Lazarick, and with me today are Bryan Sears of Match.com, not Match.com, Patch.com, and Megan Poinski of MarylandReporter.com. This week, the Maryland General Assembly really got rolling. There were major bill hearings on credit checks and gay marriage and a bunch of other bills. Budget and pension problems have taken a back seat, although the budget subcommittees are still working. Megan, tell us about the credit check bill, which had two different hearings this week.
Yeah, there was a bill that's been proposed in both the Senate and the House. Basically, I was at the hearing in the Senate yesterday, proposed by Senator Catherine Pugh. It would make it illegal for most employers to perform credit checks on their employees for any condition of employment. So they can't perform a credit check in order to hire somebody. They also can't perform a credit check on an existing employee to set their salary or to make any decision on whether they should be fired, demoted, or given a promotion.
So people don't get hired because they have a bad credit check?
According to some of the testimony at the hearing yesterday, that's correct. There have been lots of people who have not been hired because they did not pass a credit check. Senator Pugh and other people who are in support of the bill said it's just not fair to subject people to a credit check at this point for employment, especially because a lot of people have bad credit because of the recession. Getting a job would help them get out of that bad credit, yet they can't get a job because they have bad credit.
Are there a lot of employers that are doing this now?
I'm really not sure how many employers there are, but there were several people who talked about how they couldn't get a job. Somebody from Legal Aid was naming a lot of people he had spoken to who knew that they didn't get a job because of their credit. However,
Wasn't there one human resources person that said it was like 60% of major employers?
Yes. One of the supporters of the bill said that 60% of employers now do credit checks on some employees, either when they're coming up for hiring or when they're sitting in employment.
So a lot of people are concerned about this.
Right.
Bryan, this week there was a 7-8 hour hearing. I've heard different figures on the gay marriage bill, but there was a major development later in the week, and you covered that. What was that?
Well, the big development was Senator Jim Brochin, who's a Democrat from Towson, announced earlier this week that right after the hearing that he was going to be throwing his support behind the same-sex marriage bill. He still intends to introduce a civil union amendment to that bill. During his press conference this week, he said that the word marriage had been a stumbling block for him in the past and was a reason why he had opposed same-sex marriage. But he said this week that that he's decided that stumbling block is his own problem. He's going to introduce the civil union amendment, but he believes that he doesn't have the votes that's going to fail, and when it fails, he's going to go ahead and support same-sex marriage. The primary reason why is he said he was appalled and disgusted by some of the testimony. That by accounts, there was a lot of outlandish testimony, in some cases too graphic to tell in front of families. And Senator Brochin said he was personally disturbed by this.
And you can listen to the hearing online.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all 8 hours of it.
Yeah, it's probably split up in separate parts. Next week we have coming up, the committee's going to take a vote on it, and it's probably been dominating coverage because it's a hot button issue and everybody has an opinion,
right.
But other things are still going along. But I suspect gay marriage is going to be the hot issue for another week or two until it comes to the Senate.
Well, and maybe longer. I mean, what everyone expects will happen is that this bill is going to come out of the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee. How fast it comes to the floor is yet to be determined, because I think really what's going to have to happen is the sponsors of the bill are going to have to make sure that not only they have the votes on the floor to get it passed through a second and third reader, but I think there's going to be some concern about whether or not they have votes to stop filibuster. The vote right now, by all accounts on both sides, is very close. If you have enough opponents of a bill.
And this actually might be a serious filibuster, because the Senate president, who usually tries to shut down filibusters, is not in favor of this bill and might not be as inclined to, at this point in the session, to shut things down quickly.
And he's made some, if for lack of a better term, some conflicting statements, because what he has said is he supports the bill coming to the floor for a vote. But he's also, according to some accounts, said if it comes up for a vote, he's voting against it.
Right.
So it's an interesting dynamic, especially coming from a guy who, by all accounts, has 24 votes to do anything he wants, including burning down the State House, if you believe the old wives' tales. So.
Yeah, well, I actually heard him say at one point, I don't support the bill, but I'm not going to lobby people. But what that means when you control the gavel, hard to say. Well, that was a Annapolis Week in Review. Thanks for being here, Bryan and Megan, and thanks for watching.